Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year! Finally, I am continuing my reviews for the original anime of Sailor Moon. This time I'm covering episodes 25 to 46. Let's get to the recap. Queen Beryl orders Zoisite and Kunzite to find the 7 great monsters and take their rainbow crystals. These guys are monsters that were reincarnated into normal people, which include Ray's crazy grandfather, Ami's adorable crush, and the best character to ever grace this show. Ever. There's a slew of filler episodes where the Sailor Soldiers, Tuxedo Mask, and Zoisite all fight over the ownership of these things. Oh, and did I mention that Sailor Jupiter is a thing now? A girl named Makoto moves into their town and becomes the tough, awesome, incredible Sailor Jupiter. Kunzite eventually gets off his rear end and defeats the Sailor Soldiers using the power of the Negaverse or something. Sailor Venus shows up to save the day and introduces herself as not the Moon Princess. She's just Sailor Venus in this one. Later, Zoisite and Mamoru duke it out, and Usagi is forced to transform into Sailor Moon in front of Mamoru. Mamoru then turns out to be Tuxedo Mask, but then gets stabbed. Sailor Moon cries, and the 7 rainbow crystals come together to form the Silver Crystal, infinitely confusing any Sailor Moon fan who knows what the manga version of the Silver Crystal turns out to be in the final arc. Turns out, Sailor Moon is the Moon Princess, and Tuxedo Mask is the reincarnation of the Prince of Earth, Endymion. Tuxedo Mask gets kidnapped by the bad guys. Queen Beryl has had enough of Zoisite and kills him, but he lives long enough to die in Kunzite's arms surrounded by lovely flowers, and it's the saddest scene I've ever seen ever. A lot of stuff happens with Mamoru being possessed, but not really, but yes, really, he's possessed, but not really, and eventually the Sailor Soldiers conveniently find a path into the Dark Kingdom hideout. Kunzite sends all of the Sailor Soldiers to an alternate dimension, which also conveniently happens to be the moon, where the spirit of Queen Serenity tells them how Queen Metalia, Queen Beryl, and the Dark Kingdom took over the moon and killed everyone, but she sacrificed herself to seal Metalia away and have everyone else reincarnated on Earth. They get back and they kill Kunzite. Then the Sailor Soldiers teleport themselves to the Arctic, where the true entrance to the Dark Kingdom is. I think. Queen Beryl summons monsters called the DDD Girls. The DD Girls, after the gang. Let me tell you, these guys are awesome. If they would have just sent these girls from the very beginning, they would have won, because they end up taking out everyone but Sailor Moon. Everyone out with them in the most metal episode I've ever seen. Sailor Jupiter nukes herself, Mercury boils alive, Venus gets dragged into hell, and Mars dies too, I guess. Mamoru nearly kills Queen Beryl with one of his Tuxedo Mask roses, but still ends up kicking the bucket. Sailor Moon then transforms into Princess Serenity and takes out Beryl and Metalia with her, causing everyone to become alive and well again, but without their memories. And that's how the season ends. Yay. Favorite character and least favorite character. So my favorite character has got to be Rhett Butler, the adorable fat little cat. Oh my goodness, look at this cat. I just absolutely love him. I absolutely adored the episode he was in. He's super cute. His mannerisms toward Luna, who he had a crush on, were just, oh my gosh, just saintly. I mean, this guy is awesome. But in all seriousness, if I'm going with a character that was shown consistently throughout the season, I would probably have to say I really enjoyed Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon had a really nice character arc. I liked how she, especially in the final episode, really grew. Like, you could tell that, like, she developed over the course of the season. That line she says, like, she's going to kiss Tuxedo Mask's cold corpse. It's like her final goodbye to him. And she says, no, I can't do this because my friends have all had someone they loved and weren't able to give them a goodbye final kiss, so why should I have that? That's not fair. I mean, that line alone was just, I was just stunned, especially as a manga-only reader. I mean, in the manga, if we're being honest, you know, Usagi, Sailor Moon, is a little bit selfish. She, like, kills herself out of despair of having to kill Tuxedo Mask, Mamoru, whatever you want to call him. In the anime, a similar thing happens where she doesn't kill him herself, but her actions ultimately lead to his death. He dies to save her. So that characterization change was phenomenal to me. I absolutely loved that. That was really, really cool. As far as my least favorite character is concerned, and you know there's gotta be one, my least favorite character is Sailor Venus, or Minako. Why? Why did you betray me? Seriously, Minako, what is up? Like, oh my gosh, like, the Sailor V background episode was something that I was really looking forward to as a huge Sailor Venus fan. I mean, I just absolutely adore this character, and I was just not happy with it. How do I put this? So this episode was made before the Sailor V manga was finished. In fact, a lot of Sailor Moon fans don't know that the Sailor V manga's final chapter was actually published after the Sailor Moon series ended. In fact, Sailor V and Sailor Moon were like published alongside of each other, so Sailor V was more of like a gag, like funny sort of offshoot of Sailor Moon. So the background that they give Sailor V in the manga, or that Nako Takeuchi gave Sailor V in the manga, is pretty solid. I'm not really going to talk about it much because if you haven't read it, it's really good. Especially those final 2 chapters. I don't want to spoil anything for that, but let's just say that the original anime didn't have anything to work off of as far as like Sailor V's background was concerned, or really much at all. So they came up with their own original story, and oof, it just does not compare. In fact, it was kind of disgusting if I'm being real. So what happens basically is that Sailor V ends up getting into like this accident, like, I don't know, a warehouse explodes and she's inside of it and she barely makes it out alive. And this international cop that she was like BFFs with was with her at the time, and also her crush. And she's like in an alleyway and she's kind of looking out, and the international cop and the crush like hug each other in like sort of a romantic embrace, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, no, Sailor V is dead, but at least we have each other. And she's like, oh, hell no. Like, she's like really upset about this. But her logic, and here's the disgusting part, her logic is that she feels they would be better off thinking that she was dead and having a nice relationship than her actually telling them that she was alive. It was too painful for her to tell them that she was alive, because then she would have to like actually face the reality of her crush and basically the equivalent of her older sister getting together. Minako, that is really selfish. Like, I mean, anyone who has ever lost a loved one knows how devastating that sort of thing is, alright? Your feelings do not equate to that loss, that tragedy. I was really not happy with Minako this season. Whew. That was, yeah, I watched the 3rd season of Sailor Moon already, so I mean, and that was the season that really got me to like this character, so I know that I'm definitely going to be seeing some awesome things in the future, but really didn't like you this time around, Minako. Really didn't like you this time around. Alright, now we have favorite episode and least favorite episode. Again, I have 2 episodes that tied for my favorite episode. The first is Loved and Chased, Luna's worst day ever, and you probably guessed that this was one of my favorite already. Rhett Butler is the star of this episode. This episode's really funny. It had a lot of really great action scenes with Zoisite in the sewers, chasing Rhett Butler around. I really, really enjoyed this. It had a lot of really cute, funny moments. Yeah, it was just a fantastic episode. My other favorite episode was Let's Become a Princess, Usagi's Bizarre Training. And no, this is not a JoJo reference. Usagi did not go on a bizarre adventure. Really, just this episode had a lot of really cute things in it. I liked how Kunsai kind of got the idea where he was like, well, Sailor Moon really knows how to throw a boomerang well. So let's have like a princess academy, and whatever girl's like the most clumsy and can throw a boomerang well, that's probably Sailor Moon. Like, I'm like, hey, that's not a bad idea. So Usagi goes through this like princess academy, and the other sailor soldiers end up joining her too. It's really funny, and they end up going to like this. The graduation test is like a dance, and they have to dance well in order to graduate, and Venus, Mars, and Moon just completely stink. It's really funny. Leads to one of, in my opinion, one of the funniest scenes of the season. And there's also like a Looney Tunes gag at the end where Sailor Moon distracts the monster like in sort of a Bugs Bunny gag, which I definitely did not see that one coming, and that was really cute as well. So again, this was really my favorite episode just because of those cute moments. There wasn't anything super sufficient about it. And now for my least favorite episode. My least favorite episode is the very last episode, Usagi's everlasting wish, a new reincarnation. I actually liked most of this episode. I liked everything up to the very end. The battle between Princess Serenity and Queen Metalia and Queen Beryl's like combined form was really good. In fact, I liked it better than the manga version. I liked how the Sailor Soldiers came back in spirit form to help her. That was really cool. Made the scene just amazing, you know, especially after 45 episodes up until that point of character development from all of these different girls. It really felt like I had been on a journey with them, and it was just awesome. It was great. And there's this really poetic scene, Princess Serenity is dead, the Sailor Soldiers are dead, this all-consuming light spreads over the Arctic Circle, covering the different areas where the Sailor Soldiers died, as Usagi just kind of narrates one of her average days, waking up, getting yelled at by her teacher, and she says, it was these little moments that really made life worth it. If I could redo life again, I would want to be an average girl. And for me, that was like, wow, that was beautiful, I mean, it was just so bittersweet, to have Usagi mention this, what to us would be like, whatever, it's average, that's normal, but to her, it's so unattainable because of all this evil, because of all this strife. And then out of nowhere, oh, guess what? They're all alive again, and they're back in their normal lives, except they don't have any memories? What? I mean, I just didn't get it. Like, I guess that her wish was so powerful that it ended up bringing everybody back to life. Was that what happened? I just didn't understand. Like, I actually had to, like, rewind it a bit just to, like, double check that I wasn't missing anything. I thought that was a little cheap. Like, I understood that everybody was coming back to life. Of course, Sailor Moon continues from this point. But at least in the manga, it kind of made a little bit of sense. Like, Princess Serenity used her power, the power of the silver crystal, to not only bring back the lives of the Sailor Soldiers, but the lives of the people on Earth that were destroyed by the Dark Kingdom. So at least, like, on a logical level, it made sense why everybody came back. But for this version, I just don't know. And really, this is just a nitpick from me. I really enjoyed the entire season. So, yeah, it wasn't really something that I minded terribly. Most surprising moment. Well, there were a lot of surprising moments, but I'll just name off a few. First off, we learn in a particular episode that figure skating was the most popular sport on the moon. And apparently, Princess Serenity and Sailor Jupiter were really, really good at it. That's interesting. We don't really learn much about the Moon Kingdom, so this factoid comes out of nowhere, and it was, I had to laugh a bit. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll take what I can get. Also, that apparently the Moon Pen, or Sailor Moon's cute little magical pen device, whatever it turns her into, it also gives her the abilities of. It's confirmed that when she turns into a sailor, that gives her the ability to better drive a boat. So Sailor Moon, why aren't you turning into more stuff? Like, if I was Sailor Moon and I was dealing with a monster, I don't know, I'd turn into, like, a sumo wrestler and, like, land on top of them or something. Like, I mean, if it gives you the attributes of that person, like, why won't you use it more? I mean, why does she, turn into, like, I don't know, a straight-A student for every single one of her really tough examinations and just totally win on every exam she ever takes? I mean, there are infinite possibilities to this pen, Sailor Moon. Use it more. And finally, the third most surprising moment for me was that Tuxedo Mask's outfit was an outfit that he wore in the Moon Kingdom as part of a disguise. Like, he goes to this masquerade ball, he dresses up literally as Tuxedo Mask to dance with Sailor Moon for one last time. I thought that was a really cool touch. In my opinion, it gave a little bit more meaning to this Tuxedo Mask costume. Like, we never really get a reason as to why he wears it in the manga, so it was pretty cool to see that in the anime. I really, really liked that nice touch. Final thoughts. The Sailor Moon anime is fantastic. It's great. It can get, I don't know, a little bit tired with the filler episodes, but all in all, it's just a really, really nice, quaint little piece of the 90s. Sailor Moon was, as many people know, basically made into an anime to sell toys and merchandise. And the fact that beyond that, it had so much heart and so much character. I mean, I really gotta commend Toei Animation and everyone who worked on this project for that. I mean, they could have just made it a lazy toy selling experience, and instead they put heart into it. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed the Dark Kingdom arc. I'm looking forward to the Black Moon arc, even though the Black Moon arc in the manga is my least favorite arc. Hey, let's see, the anime might surprise me. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this is CJ, signing off.